Alright, Hollywood is at it yet again with another movie based off of a video game franchise, a PlayStation exclusive video game franchise to be exact, and I pretty much have every one from start to finish. Well, even though, of course, this is a remake of the first three, and the fourth one was awesome, and even the spin-off one, Uncharted Lost Legacy, was pretty good too as well. Not as good as the fourth, but still very playable. I love the puzzle solving, the platforming and stuff. Indiana Jones-ish style, sort of a mix of Tomb Raider if you played those kind of games, but as I said, you have to get a PlayStation. So I was a bit iffy seeing that they were making a movie based off of it, because as we know, movies based off of video game franchises have not had the best track record. I don't have to say that much more. Even though the newest Mortal Kombat movie I thought was pretty good, Rampage was pretty good, so didn't know what to expect out of this one, especially with the same director from the first two Zombieland movies as well as the first Venom movie. And what did I think of it? Well, after receiving rather mixed to somewhat negative reactions, especially from professional critics, I went to see it for myself, and yeah, I agree with more of the fan base side of it. It was pretty good. Okay, it's not a masterpiece by any means, but we have our two main stars, Tom Holland, who's pretty much established himself as the web slinger in the MCU, and a bunch of other roles that he's played, as well as the big guns himself, Mark Wahlberg, who, I don't have to say much more, he's done plenty of great roles to establish himself as a big action star, and he still is even to this day. And, okay, you could criticize some of the casting in this movie, but I thought Tom Holland did a pretty good job for the most part. I mean, the stunts and everything were very believable. I mean, some CG is to be expected in this. What more do you expect, really, out of a movie based off a video game, and with most special effects the way they are nowadays? And, okay, it may seem a little rushed at some parts and a bit predictable, especially at the beginning, where Mark Wahlberg's character just comes in the picture so quickly. But hey, that's to keep the movie at the right pace, and to keep the audience, like myself, invested for the full 2 hours, and I certainly was. I mean, there wasn't one dull moment in this movie. Maybe a few of them, but for the most part, it's not very talky, but even when there are some long dialogue scenes, it's very interesting. I like these kind of Indiana Jones-ish, Tomb Raider-ish type movies, you know, looking for maps and artifacts and exotic locations, trying to figure out puzzles, and this is right up my alley here. And the first 10 or 20 minutes, okay, keep in mind there's going to be some minor to moderate spoilers, but like most of my movie reviews, there's not going to be anything major given away, but if you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, then turn the video off right now. Otherwise, yeah. The first 10 or 20 minutes, it takes place in the city of New York to be exact, and it's a heist, and because they're trying to find one artifact, and then go to an exotic location overseas in Spain to look for treasure, and, well, it doesn't exactly end there. Of course, you got another main character, Chloe, and they meet up with her, and this is one gripe I have with this movie. Not a huge nitpick, but this is my biggest gripe with it, is that, you know, they trust her, and then she runs off with the artifact, and then they trust her again, she joins them, and then she just turns her back on them again, and then she joins them again. I mean, this almost reminds me of that character from Indiana Jones 4, if you get what I mean. Just a nitpick, and I'm sure most of you can probably agree with that, but I feel like it didn't really have much purpose to this movie. And of course you got your main villain, or villains. You know, one of them is more or less a throwaway villain, and the other one, of course, is the female villain. And I do have one other nitpick I have to say, is the fact that you see a throat being slashed, and of course you don't see it on screen, and even when you do see it on screen, it's toned down to a PG-13 level, because yeah, that's what this movie is. Obviously because they want kids to be able to see it. They didn't want to go full out with an R rating like some other video game movies did. But the action, of course, is a bit over the top, especially with falling out of the plane. I mean, yeah, the first thing that comes to mind when I see Tom Holland falling is obviously as his web-slinging alter ego, but yeah, you gotta really take that out of the picture there. It's a bit over the top, but then there's some on-foot fighting, which is really good. You know, I like the underground scene, which is very well done, and the humor is there. Some cheesy jokes here and there thrown in, and of course some product placements with Papa John's. But once you get past all that, it's a very enjoyable time. Like I said, very fast-paced for 2 hours. Pulls a few punches and surprises here and there, but mostly a bit predictable, but I can't say it's the worst film. So, is it as bad as critics saying it is? Not at all. I mean, okay, it's not going for an Oscar, and, well, you know, there's mentions of Indiana Jones for a brief moment, and even Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, the location they get to get the treasure. but overall, I can safely say it's an enjoyable good time. If you're looking for some cheesy, good popcorn entertainment, this one will definitely give you a good entertainment for 2 hours. So, ignore the critics on this one. It's not the worst video game movie. It's definitely right up there with the top 5 best, or at least most watchable. So, yeah, definitely better than Tomb Raider 2018 at least. And, well, I'm looking forward to seeing a sequel to this because, well, not to give anything away, but I think this movie series is anything but done, and considering it made a pretty good amount of money, it was pretty crowded when I went to see it in Dudley out of all places, I think it's definitely sniffing for one. So, overall, a good time. After playing the video games and watching this, I wasn't disappointed. So, my final verdict, rocking Weird Mode Wii Motion Plus up, and playing Weird Mode up. It's pretty fun, good popcorn entertainment time. So, till next time, keep watching.